back to Naughty Boy Fight Picks. Today is the 23rd of July 2018. I'm not sure why you would need the date, but there it is. Just finished the first fights from Ufc Hamburg. I'll get into that a bit, but my best day gambling wise thus far in my short career, so really happy. And I guess I enjoyed the card because I won money, but had a couple of moments and overall fucking way too many decisions, I imagine, for people's viewing pleasure. But I wasn't fazed because I was doing well with the gambling. I think there's a long hair on my beanie somewhere. Couple of things to get into just before I get into how my picks went and the card, breaking down the card. It was announced during the week that Kai Kara-France of City Kickboxing in Auckland, New Zealand, got signed to the UFC. Don't know if people saw it, but there was it looked like, I don't know, 50 people gathered in the City Kickboxing gym, and they played a video from Dana White congratulating him, saying he was in the UFC now. So that was pretty fucking cool to see. I have been watching Kai fight since he was on the Tough series. I forget which series, but he came in there. He did pretty well. He knocked out his first opponent. Then I think he suffered a loss to, what's his name? Is it Alejandro? Or a guy that's presently in the UFC anyhow. But yeah, he's a 125er with a crazy overhand right, and he does the fucking Mark Hunt walk-off knockout. He has, so since the Tough House, he's been on a fucking tear, and we've all seen what the City Kickboxing guys have been doing lately, so I imagine he's developed a lot since we saw him on Tough. So since 2015, he's gone, I think, 11-1. And in that streak, he's got 7 KOs at 125. And he's been fighting in Glory, Risen, and a few other promotions. Basically just, man, dude's getting seasoned. So he's only 25 years old, and he has 24 professional fights already. So pretty exciting stuff there. And just, yeah, I met him recently. I've been following him for a while, but met him recently up in Auckland, and he's a fucking beast in the cage, like knocking dudes out. But in person, he is the nicest fucking human being. So couldn't be happier for that dude. He's obviously worked hard and really fucking deserves that. So congratulations, Kai. Can't wait to see your debut. And hopefully, because I'm going to go to the Adelaide card later on in the year, and I'm fucking praying that Kai debuts on that card so we can be there to support him in his debut. And I have no fucking doubt that he will win, because that's what City Kickboxing keeps doing. I'm hoping people aren't getting sick of me wanking on about that gym, but it's super exciting as a New Zealander to see those guys do what they're doing, and to be able to feel proud of them because they're out there representing us. So yeah, it feels fucking great. Second point of business was, we got another great comment this week from some guy. Oh, where is it? I love when I get the comments from people trying to fuck with me, because they're always pathetic. But there's some dude called DB with no profile picture. It's a picture of a bear. It's very scary. But he's like, are you fucking high? Saying, stop being a fucking feminine liberal bitch, be a man, and don't feel like a guilty bitch like you owe the world. Saying, where to start with this? It would appear that this guy thinks Joe Rogan is one of the great thinkers of our time, and has therefore watched a couple of Jordan Peterson videos on YouTube, and now on his Tinder bio lists philosophy as one of his interests, where he abuses women that won't talk to him when they figure out he's a fucking Neanderthal. Yeah, I think I said it before that people that do this are usually profoundly unhappy, and that's why they go on the internet anonymously and try and make other people feel shitty, but that don't work with me because I feel great about myself. And in regards to masculinity, I spent a good portion of my life existing in places where the only form of being a man or masculine was to dominate and to be violent and exert power over other people, and that's a pretty horrible way to exist. Now in turn I work with young men who always come from that sort of environment, and it's a real fucking privilege to be able now to role model them strength in a different form. Strength, like true strength, is gentle and it's kind, and there's strength in the ability to be vulnerable. And for every fucking dickhead out there like this guy, I'm pretty happy and privileged that I get to counter that by role modeling different masculine behavior to young men that don't get to see that. So good luck to you, dude. And in regards to feeling like I owe the world something, I absolutely don't. I spent a good portion of my life hurting people, hurting my community, and doing pretty bad shit, and I don't owe anything for that, but I'm privileged to have the choice with what I do with my life now, and I do choose to try and contribute something positive. And maybe if you try to contribute something, then you wouldn't be so fucking unhappy and being online trying to fuck with people who you can't fuck with. So also, in saying that too, so you want to lecture me about being masculine, I think going on the internet and trying to bully people is like about the least masculine thing you could do. So good luck to you, bro. You're obviously in an unhappy place, so good luck. With that out the way, we'll get into my betting for UFC Hamburg. Where are we? Fuck, Germany's a weird place. And Germans are awesome in a strange way. I've got some great German friends. Actually, shout out to my boys from the band Nasty. They're from Belgium, but the German speaking part, it's a little pocket, I believe, where they speak German. I've got some boys from there who are all big fight fans, so I hope some of them made it to Hamburg, but we shall see. In the first fight, Li Ping Yuan versus Damian Stasiak. So I'll explain. I woke up for the Fox Sports 1 fights, so I missed the first 3 fights, but I just rewatched them now. So Ping Yuan versus Stasiak, I saw a bit of contention on Twitter. Some people were upset with the decision. So I thought maybe what I saw was going to be different from what I saw, but I actually thought Ping Yuan won that fight. He did more. He had the majority of the kind of moments in the fight. Like he landed that spinning back fist, wobbled him. There's a few other things he did in there, but he appeared to do more damage, and I thought that was a reasonable decision. The 30-27 maybe a little far off, but I don't know, I could see how you could give that. I thought he did well in every round, but yeah, I guess I think I didn't go into my betting, did I? I'll do that at the end. I guess if you'd bet, and I think I had Stasiak as part of a parlay, so I lost out on him, but I guess I won elsewhere. So yeah, I did. I had him as part of a parlay with Abu, which would have made my day even fucking better, but never mind. Ping Yuan is from the same gym, I believe, as Song Yadong. I did a little bit of reading and I saw that what do? They take in orphans or something, and then teach them to fight. So it kind of sounds like a bit, I don't know, it doesn't sound like great, but I guess they're getting results, and these kids are having, I guess the ones that make it are having good lives, fighting for a career, whereas perhaps they may not have had options otherwise. So, and yeah, you could definitely see that gym has a certain style. Ping Yuan exhibiting that, I thought. That's once again to my untrained eye. I'm not too sure what I'm looking at. I'm just going on hunches. So anyhow, next fight up, Darko Stosic versus Jeremy Kimball. This looks like the Universal Soldier versus your stepbrother that will never move out of your parents' home, or the unsuccessful Post Malone of MMA. Kimball looks better in the striking. I guess it's easy to look better when your opponent's doing absolutely nothing. But Stosic got that takedown. I think Kimball shot on him. Stosic got the takedown and then just beat the living shit out of poor man's Post Malone. And yeah, got the TKO in round 1. And apparently Jeremy Kimball retired on his Facebook or something after the fight. So farewell, Jeremy Kimball. Yeah, he looked like he had decent striking, but he's obviously not very athletic or anything, and Stosic is fucking jacked. Next fight up, Manny Bermudez. I had a bet on him, just a small prop bet, because I'm fucking terrified of prop betting because I haven't had that much success with it. I wish I'd gone bigger now, because in hindsight this was pretty inevitable and a lot of people were calling it. And Manny Bermudez with an incredible performance, and he I guess the big knock on Bermudez is he doesn't have good stand-up, and it'd be an exaggeration to say he looked amazing on the feet, but he did clip David Grant a couple of times before dropping him and then just doing fucking pure wizardry on the ground and getting the triangle choke in the first minute of the first round. So incredible performance for Bermudez, and he called out I think Benito Lopez, which is a fun fight, so I'd like to see that. Next up, one of my big plays on this card was on Alexander Rakic to beat Justin Ledet, which he did, but not in the way I expected him to. So I definitely thought he was going to come out with the low leg kick, which he did, and he fucking, like, he went to work on that. This was such a good performance by Rakic, particularly since it was largely a wrestling performance and we didn't know he had that in him. So in his last fight he exhibited, I thought, really nice technical kickboxing. This fight comes out, puts on a wrestling clinic on Ledet, who we don't know much about his wrestling pedigree either, so what can you say? We can't really say where his wrestling would stand up against the top guys in the division, but he's young. I think he's only 24. And that was a super dominant performance, 30-25 and 2 30-24s from the judges, which I think is well justified. Ledet proved a couple of my suspicions. I think if you saw my video last week, I talked about Ledet and I had questions about his temperament. I thought he might lose it if a fight wasn't going his way, but from things I've seen in other fights, and that absolutely happened. He was underneath Rakic in the second round, and you heard him over the mic say, let me stand up and I'll knock you out. And it's like, bro, you've been on the feet and you were getting pieced up on the feet. So a lot of people saying last week, talking about Ledet's jab, I talked about his jab, and I don't think he landed the jab, but Rakic landed the jab, and he looked like the far better striker, and he definitely had the superior wrestling game. So massive performance for Rakic, I thought, and now showing this new wrinkle to his game. I definitely think he's someone to watch for, especially being so young but also experienced. He could be a legit guy in that division, and fucking finally, light heavyweight has some young, talented guys coming up. Him, Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith. It's still not incredible, but there's improvements happening in that division. Like, up until this card, Teixeira was still ranked number 3, I think. I don't know where Shogun was ranked, but yeah, the division's been a bit sad for a while. So cash a big bet on Rakic. I actually put extra units that I didn't track on him and Fabinski because I won some money betting elsewhere, and I was just like, alright, let's chuck this down on these guys because I think they're going to win. So I had some big extra wins on top of what was tracked on Bet MMA tips. So pretty happy with that. Next fight up, Nad Narimani versus Khalid Taha. It kind of had the makings of an interesting fight, but didn't ever really get there. There was nothing in the fight that really stood out. Taha looked like he had really good striking, but like a lot of guys you see with really good striking who are new to the UFC, they can be neutralized with wrestling, and that's pretty much how this went. Narimani implementing his wrestling and getting a unanimous 30-27 decision. So not too much to talk about there. Next fight, Bartosz Fabinski beating Emil Meek. So I had a big play on Fabinski as well. And fuck, I saw heaps of people throughout the week all talking, picking Meek. And sorry, it's Meek, isn't it? And I was confused by that because before I heard all that talk, I watched tape on both these guys. And what the tape showed me is Meek has no takedown defense, and all Fabinski does is take dudes down. So I know there's like people were like, well, he fought Usman last and Fabinski ain't Kamaru Usman, which is definitely true. But if you go back the fight before that, Jordan Mean took Meek down 3 times in the first round real easily, and I would definitely rate Fabinski's wrestling game over Jordan Mean's. So basically it was Fabinski's fight, the way his fights always go if he's successful. 3rd round, and there's a couple moments in the first couple rounds where it looked hairy, but the 3rd round got real hairy. Meek appeared to hurt him on the feet, and I was fucking shitting myself. But then Meek did something fucking stupid. Did he go for a guillotine or something? He pulled guard. He went for a sub, didn't he? And then got put on his back again. And because it really looked like he could have got Fabinski out of there. So poor fight IQ by Meek. And he lost a unanimous decision in a fight that went exactly how I thought it was going to go, and all the evidence that you had available told you that that's how this fight would go, and that indeed happened. Next up, we had Damir Hadzovic defeating Nick Hein for a split decision. Strange it was a split. I thought Hadzovic won it pretty clearly. I didn't hate this fight. I think so. I did tape on Hein recently because I faded him versus Davi Hamosh, and I think since the stuff I watched, I feel like Hein's made some improvements. He looked better in this fight. His striking didn't look as stiff as it sometimes does, but more fluid. And he had some success with his striking in this fight. Just the distance was a real problem for him, and he was having trouble covering the distance. He looked like a little T-Rex in there with his short little arms trying to get at Hadzovic, and Hadzovic kept the distance well and won the fight that way. But not incredible, but not terrible either. Onto the main card now. Nasrat Haqparast defeating Mark Diakase by unanimous decision. I thought this was, I guess this was the striking version of the Rakic and Ledet fight. Just a complete domination, really. Haqparast looks like Calvin Gastelum, yes. But fuck, his striking is beautiful, man. And he's so long with his cross. He long and fast as well. Because he's a little dude, but it's incredible how far he reaches with his cross. And he used it a lot in this fight. I think he's only 22, which is incredible. Like, his ringmanship, I thought, was really impressive. So the way he controlled the fight and the way he kind of changed approaches within the fight. So he didn't fight the same fight the entire fight. He was leading to begin with, and then there was a point where you noticeably saw, and the commentators noted, that he began to counter strike, and he started doing that really well. Casey is, I don't know, like, it's a shame watching him fight because he's so athletic and naturally gifted, but then he doesn't really fight to his strengths. So, and his game isn't well put together, but he has all these natural gifts, and it's a bit of a shame to watch, really. I would like to see him. Yeah, I wonder if that's a coaching issue, or fuck, I wouldn't have a clue what it is. But I wonder if there's some redeeming that, because he's now on, I think, a 3-fight losing streak. So I was gonna say his days could be numbered, but maybe not. Maybe they will keep him around. He's probably a useful guy for UK and Europe cards, so he may not go. Next fight up, Danny Roberts versus David Sawada. Really enjoyed this fight. I thought it was reasonably close, but on the eye test, I thought Zawada won, I think. Trying to recall. But I think mainly I didn't have anything writing on this fight, so I was just being entertained by it. And the thing that stood out about this fight to me was, after quite a few decisions, both these guys were, throughout the fight, trying to do something to finish the fight. And it's understandable that not everyone fights like that, because that could fuck your career, I guess. But it was nice to watch two guys go out there and try and get a finish throughout the fight. And yeah, was that Zawada's debut? I think it was, and it was in short notice, eh? So I think he comes off that looking pretty good. He definitely had his moments in that fight and had Roberts in trouble a few times, I think. And I thought he looked like the better striker. But yeah. Then we move on to the next fight. Marcin Tybura defeating Stefan Struve via unanimous decision. Such a Stefan Struve fight. So typical. When you're watching him on Fight Pass, you're like thinking you need to check the settings or something, because it appears to be lagging. It's crazy watching Struve, and I gotta bring it up because of the Stipe bandwagon, but it's crazy to watch this guy and remember that he knocked out Stipe Miocic, because Struve is shocking. Tybura implementing wrestling, did a little bit on the feet. Struve definitely had moments, like, I guess it's his whole career has been like he can use his length. He has the ability to, but he just does it in moments. And in those moments, he looks so hard to beat. But he only does it for moments. He never does it for an entire fight or even an entire round. And yeah, it's only 30 years old, I noted, when they were doing the tail of the tape. Feels like Struve has been getting his ass kicked in the UFC forever. But yeah, I wonder what happens with him now. we'll be surprised if he sticks around. We shall see. Next fight up, bizarre that this was on the main card. Abu Azaitar defeating Vitor Miranda via unanimous decision. Miranda getting the alleged kickboxer getting outstruck by a guy just winging crazy hooks. So last week, if you saw my video, I went and did tape on Abu to see if I could fade Miranda because I was pretty keen to. But I watched Abu, I watched a couple of his fights and didn't like what I saw at all. I was like, fuck, Vitor is quite likely to just start throwing shit down the pipe and beat the shit out of this dude. Wasn't super confident in that happening either, so I just faded the fight altogether. But damn, I think Vitor Miranda being 40 probably has a lot to do with this. Abu might be in some exciting fights because of the way he fights, but he's definitely not high level. The ground stuff was pretty horrible. Yeah, things were getting a bit tedious by this point. Next up, Corey Anderson defeating Glover Teixeira via unanimous decision, all 30-27s. Thought Anderson showed some improvements, particularly in his boxing. He did a bit of trading in the pocket with Teixeira, which was fucking terrifying for me because I had money riding on him. And whenever he engaged in the pocket, I was like, get the fuck out. But he used good head movement to avoid Teixeira's shots, and Teixeira is nearly 40, so a little bit of head movement goes a long way against an old guy, apparently. Anderson at 205, he's looking pretty good. I wonder who they will match him up with next. Trying to think of a likely candidate, but he had he expressed interest in stepping in as a replacement and for Ozdemir against Gustafsson, but then he reneged in his post-fight interview. I guess he was tired after going 3 rounds. Yeah, good performance for Anderson, and I guess what you kind of expect from him. Not setting the world on fire, but having good cardio, a busy game against an aging fighter, and yeah, implemented a smart tactical fight and got the win pretty easily. Next up, Anthony Smith, the breaker of nostalgic hearts, continues on his legend ass-kicking tour, knocking out Shogun Rua early in the first round. It was pretty sad. I don't think everyone seems to unanimously like Shogun, right? I don't think I've ever heard anyone say they don't like him. He has done incredible things in the sport, and yeah, just been a likable character, I guess, and an action fighter. It was quite horrible to see him get knocked out in that particular manner. His eyes rolled back and shit, and then wrestling the referee post-fight. Speaking of referees, remind me to speak about Goddard after this. Well, you can't remind me. Sorry, just having a conversation with myself. Yeah, it was sad, but also I don't hate Anthony Smith. And that's 2 really, upon appearance, stunning knockouts for him in 2 fights in quick succession. So he's doing himself a lot of favors. In that, though, I think he may wind up in some trouble because he's obviously going to get accelerated to a big fight now, you would imagine. So he volunteered himself to face Gustafsson, which I hope happens because there may be some recency bias in the betting lines, and if there is, I'm going to jump all over Gustafsson because I don't think Anthony Smith is anywhere near the level Gustafsson's at. And whilst he will be riding high on confidence, he's changed division, he probably feels like the world is his oyster at the moment. We haven't seen him tested at that division yet, so he's taken out 2 guys that shouldn't be fighting anymore. If he goes up against fit and durable, so we're seeing Gustafsson take punishment, man, and if he's still that durable, and Gustafsson takes him to deep waters, I don't know if Anthony Smith can hang there, and he might get the whooping of his life against the Mauler, sorry. But yeah, great win for him. Fantastic little run he's on, and we'll see what happens next. I'm interested because, I'm not saying he's not legit, but in his career up until this point, he doesn't really appear to have much of a game. But maybe he is developing one, and we haven't had the opportunity to see it yet. So I actually might go back and look at that and see what he was doing. Yeah, I will have another watch. I got up at 4 this morning, so forgive me if I'm vague or foggy today. Going back to Goddard, fuck, he's annoying. What fight was it in where he grabbed the fighter's foot and started having a fucking argument with him mid-fight? Reminded me of John McCarthy and why I hated John McCarthy as a ref, the way he would manhandle fighters sometimes, and knowing that his background was being a police officer. And when I found that out, I was like, oh fuck, he absolutely acts like a police officer in the ring, which isn't a place for it, or just anywhere in life really. You can just treat people as equals, and you don't have to, I know you have to be firm as a referee, but you ain't got to manhandle people or talk to them like shit. And McCarthy, I've seen do that, and I think Goddard's trying to be of the same mold and comes across as a bit of a prick. Originally, when McGregor slapped him, I thought, that was fucking stupid on McGregor's behalf, but maybe there's something more to that. Maybe there's, because Goddard appears to be flexing quite the ego as well, so maybe he had that slap coming. I don't know. What else? In regards to the card, hard to pick a performance of the night, but be hard to go past Bermudez, be hard to go past Smith, but I thought the real stunning performances of the night were Haqparast and Rakic. They had really, really incredible performances. Fight of the night, usually got to pick someone where they I'm not reporting what was actually awarded. I haven't seen that yet, but maybe Robert Sawada. You got to go one where there was back and forth, right? Hard to say. Anyhow, to my betting, what did we do? So I had 3 parlays come in. I missed, this is all my track bets. I had some untracked ones. I got 3 of 5 parlays, and I had a prop come in, and then I had my 2 straight picks come in where I placed pretty heavy bets. So ROI for the night was 97%. I made 18.4 units. I believe that's the best I've ever done. And I went up to 51 units overall on Bet MMA. So I think that means I get the dark green dot on my shit now, so it looks real official. So happy with that. Like I said earlier, I put some extra bets down on Fabinski and Rakic, which made me some more money. And I also I had a ridiculous parlay on, who was it on? It was like a 6-leg parlay, and it got up to, which fight? Got up to Haqparast, I think. And at that point, after Tybura. And so I had Anderson and Shogun left on it. And I was like, fuck, one of these guys ain't gonna come in. I was like, and I asked for some help. I posted on Twitter. I was like, fuck, should I cash it out? It was offering me like $40. And shout out to Vegeta and this other dude whose name escapes me. Not Vegeta, the actual one, this dude from Twitter. And they were like, both advised me, they were like, maybe if you want to gamble it, wait for the Anderson result and then cash it out. So I did, and I cashed out the $2 bet for like $90. And then I had another silly parlay come in somewhere else, which was like another $2 bet that was like $30-40, and yeah, some other shit. So a real good day overall, and that was me. So what do we got up this week? Is this card looks fucking good. There's the Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier fight, Aldo versus Stevens. Fuck, I hope Aldo steamrolls Stevens. I've seen some interviews with Stevens recently, and he seems like a fucking dickhead. So I hope he gets his ass beat by Aldo. And it's easy to dismiss Aldo at this stage, and there's some pretty reasonable reasons to do so. But do remember when he came back against Frankie and demolished him after losing the McGregor fight. And since then he's had Max twice, and that's no easy feat. We got Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Tisha Torres. Those are the main 3 fights for that card. So interested to see how Joanna comes back. I'll talk about it in my video this week in my picks. But just thinking of it off the top of my head, I definitely favour her versus Tisha. I think that's about all we got time for today. Please remember to like and subscribe if you do indeed like it and want to subscribe. I wouldn't ask you to do that if you weren't interested. Chuck me some comments. Sorry I only got to the negative one. I should probably address some positive ones, eh? But yeah, I do appreciate the comments, and if you go to my thing, you will see that I do engage with people because I love talking about this shit. It's fun to me. So yeah, chuck us a comment, like and subscribe. Enjoy your week. I hope you had a good day's betting if you were gambling on this card. And yeah, I'll be back later in the week, probably around Wednesday New Zealand time, so Thursday in America, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Thank you.